Hey, thanks for coming to our YouTube channel. This is Tom Hagee, founder of HB Litigation. This educational webinar was presented here with our compliments. All we ask is that if you like it, if you find it valuable, that you'll share it with colleagues or contacts. Maybe give us a rating, post your own insights in the comments section, and follow us for more. We are not offering CLE credits here, but you can take the CLE eligible version at the Serify Legal Edge platform, formerly the West Legal Ed Center. Look for a link to the platform in the description.
And so in this section, we're going to talk mostly about looking for old CGL policies for all the reasons Marshall mentioned. These are typically, these are going to be policies mostly for Child Victims Act claims, although they could be for Adult Survivor Act claims as well. But most of the work that we've been involved in this area has focused on CVA, Child Victim Act claims. It's a wide range of organizations. It's tragic that this was part of our society and is part of our society, but it is also true that almost every organization that worked with children is facing claims, right? And so this is school districts, public school districts. This is universities and colleges. This is religious organizations, from archdioceses and dioceses down to individual churches. It's Jewish organizations, it's Muslim organizations, it's Hindu organizations, it's Buddhists. It's even things like camps, summer camps, and daycare centers, and YMCAs, and Boys and Girls Clubs. So it's very, very wide ranging, the types of organizations. And each of those organizations obviously presents a different challenge when we start to do this work, right? So we're looking for records. Primarily, these claims are going to come from the 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, the ones that we get involved in. On occasion, there are issues in the 90s or 2000s where the policies can't be found, right? Believe it or not, the year 2000 is 25 years ago now, which doesn't seem right, but they say that it is. And so even records from then can be difficult to find. And in many instances, these organizations will have coverage under their CGL and umbrella coverage, even in the 90s and 2000s. There may be a sublimit for sexual abuse, but finding the coverage can still really be valuable. And the most important thing to understand is that even if we can't find the actual insurance policy, right, secondary evidence of coverage can prove coverage in most instances, right? So if we can find things like a certificate of insurance or a lawsuit or a reference in board minutes or a reference in accounting ledgers, or in a budget, these are all places that the insurance information may be listed, and those documents provide policy numbers, limits, carriers, and that can be used to prove coverage, right? In some instances, we'll talk a little bit later about working with the carriers. In some instances, carriers will cooperate, do a search, and find those policies. And in others, you have to engage people like Anderson Kill to go in and to force the carriers to understand that there is evidence that that policy existed.
Hey, Tom Hagee again. This presentation is made possible by Critical Legal Content, a company I founded in 2012 to provide content creation services for law firms and litigation service providers. It puts to use my decades of experience creating articles, newsletters, conferences, podcasts, and webinars, all of which I've done on my own for many years now. Before that, I was doing it for Mealy's Litigation Reports as managing editor and publisher, then as a VP at LexisNexis. Now I do it for a select group of clients practicing areas where we know we can help. Learning and either writing or discussing emerging topics in litigation with top-ranked attorneys has always been a passion of mine, and I do not want to explore why. If you'd like to discuss how we might work together, please reach out to me via the contact information provided in the description of this presentation.
But our job is primarily to locate that information. So how do we do that? The first is internal records, right? And so historic records are incredibly valuable. There's almost nobody who calls us and says, I know where all my policies are, and we want to hire you to go through them, right? Everybody who calls us says, we have no records. We can't find anything. And what we do is we work with them to figure out what does exist, right? So in the instance, for instance, of a school district, right, there is a huge variety of availability of records. There's districts with very good archives, boxes on shelves with labels. There's districts that have had a flood or a fire and have nothing. But even those districts typically have the board minutes because it's a required document. When we're working with nonprofits, unlike when we're working in the commercial area, nonprofits and public entities are required to have board minutes, right? This is something it's required as a nonprofit or as a government entity. And those board minutes, there's often a discussion of insurance. For many institutions, this is a large portion of their expense every year, right? And so there'll be a discussion, and it may not be every single year, but it might be, oh, our premium jumped 25% this year, and so we're going to look for another broker. We're going to talk to another broker. There's often personal relationships, right? Oh, Joe Smith just joined as a parishioner. He owns an insurance company. He wants to bid on the coverage. So these things come up in the board minutes. They're referenced in the board minutes. In some instances, there's even policy information in board minutes. For public entities, especially on the West Coast, we're finding that actually a lot of that stuff has already been scanned and documented and is searchable. It can be hard to get access to it. It's not necessarily public access to it. But working with the client, we're able to gain access to that from those records and then run searches and find those references to those payments, which again often include details. And in many cases, if you're dealing with a school district or a municipality, it's important to find both the resolution and the minutes because they may not have the identical information. And in some instances, actually, the resolutions, there'll be a working file from that. And so that working file will actually have more details than either the resolution or the minutes. And so it's really a matter of digging through that information that way.
Hey, thanks for coming to our YouTube channel. This is Tom Hagee, founder of HB Litigation. This educational webinar was presented here with our compliments. All we ask is that if you like it, if you find it valuable, that you'll share it with colleagues or contacts. Maybe give us a rating, post your own insights in the comments section, and follow us for more. We are not offering CLE credits here, but you can take the CLE eligible version at the Serify Legal Edge platform, formerly the West Legal Ed Center. Look for a link to the platform in the description.